Hello. Recently I've been to Germany and I had a meeting with my customer, and during that meeting I met Elias Stanley. That is a real expert in data area, but not only, because right now he's really getting into Power Platform and he's doing awesome demos, awesome work. He doesn't have enough time to share it, but he'll do it soon, and this is going to be a real kick-ass. So anyway, I met Elias and he presented me some of those things that he acknowledged during Microsoft Business Application Summit. One of them was virtual agent, and I was really amused. I was really inspired about the new tool, so I really had to dig into and to check how it works. So basically, the virtual agent is the new solution that Microsoft is working on right now. It will be a part of Dynamics 365 customer services area, and basically that is a functionality, a product that allows power users to really create their own conversational bots without any need for programming. So you don't have to be C# developer or any other kind of developer. That is really a kind of a drag and drop editor where you can create your own bot, then deploy it, and then face it to your customers anonymously, publicly, so that they can really chat with the bot. And in the end, if they really need to, they can escalate this conversation to their actual person. Well, the demo I created is a little bit different because I decided not to really work on customer services area. I don't have really experience in that, but I decided to use this bot to somehow tell me what tasks do I have. So that's a list of my open tasks here. I have them quite a lot, but I don't really fancy going every time to this area to check what tasks are pending to for my approval. So what I did, I've created this bot. It's called my first bot. Not that very fancy, but hey, there is yet no possibility to change the title. So once you create a bot, you can't change the title. And so I start, hey bot, get my tasks. So in the end, the result is that the bot is going to return me my tasks. Yeah, the bot doesn't know my context, so it can't say who I am. The only information about me it gets is from what I type in. So therefore it has to ask me for my email. But that's not it. So it is also asking me for my nickname, because I can be anyone. And right now it's asking me for my nickname because that is something very unique that only I should know. Well, that can be a birthday, that can be any other information you can store in Azure Active Directory, for example, or any other data source, just to, in this case, to authenticate myself that the information that is going to be returned by the bot will not be read by someone unauthorized. That's a very simple authorization. So anyway, no, my nickname is not Poshitek. That would be too easy. Yeah, let's try it again. So let's get my tasks. Right, and now my email. And now you will acknowledge my very unique nickname. Right, that is correct. Alright, so now it's really getting my tasks. So yep, here is a list of tasks that are pending for my approval. So from here I can really click it and open this task for approval. Yep, that's it. Very easy. So how it was built. First, when you're building a new bot, you have to go to va.ai.dynamics.com to sign up for the preview. Virtual Agent is currently in preview. It will be in preview until October, when it will become public and it will become a part of Dynamics 365, and it will be priced under Dynamics licenses. Today it's really free to use. The only thing you have to really do once you're starting the bot is that you have to have an environment in Power Apps or on the Power Platform that is in United States. And it can't be the preview. It has to be a production or a trial environment in United States location. So not yet Europe, no Asia, no Africa. So that's the very first prerequisite. You have to have your own environment in United States. Now once you have it, you can then create your own bot. My second bot, let's call it this way. So now the bot is being provisioned. It is taking really like a short minute. And yep, and it's done. You see, the bot has been provisioned. And now that is a static interface. What is important here in a bot is that you have this topics area and then the deployment area. First, the topics. Topics is like it's like a list of keywords, like a list of keywords that can be used to trigger a specific conversation with a bot. So you can see here there are a couple of predefined topics, like the user topics, and also a list of predefined system topics. Some of them you will have to change, like for example the escalate topic. You have to change it because it doesn't have defined any sort of information on how this escalation should work. So once you decide to escalate a conversation, the bot right now by default will just show you to connect with the person, blah blah blah, click the link, nothing else. So you will find out that during your work with the bot, there are some specific topics, those predefined topics, that you can and even should modify to really create this very fine and unified experience between your customers and your bots. Right, having that said, let's get back to topics. So basically when you create your own new topic, you have to name it, and then you have to define a list of trigger phrases. So these trigger phrases are those that I type in here to invoke a bot, to trigger a bot, to trigger the specific conversation. And then I'll just switch to my bot that I've created. So once you have this topic created, yep. Alright, so that is my help with tasks topic. You can see that I have a couple of trigger phrases defined so that any of those phrases I type in will trigger this specific conversation. And then the conversation itself is working this way. So first, once the bot is triggered, it is displaying me the information, hey, yeah, welcome, how can I help you? Then it's asking me for my email. Then there is an action that is called the user response, and what I type in is saved to email. Building this flow, this conversation flow, is done, as I said, kind of in Microsoft Flow. Well, you even have this topic checker here that you can be familiar from Microsoft Flow power-ups. Anyway, if I want to add a new step, I simply click this plus icon here, and depending on the area, on the place in the conversation I am in, I have different options to choose from. So like for example here, that's just the beginning. It awaits any sort of bot activity. However, later I can choose between the bot says, so that first one, the user says, so the one that is below, the action that is basically triggering a flow, and the expression, which is like a conditional branch. So that is expression. Basically later what I'm doing is that once the bot gets my email, then it's asking me for my nickname, and then it's also saving the nickname to the variable. So how it's done, basically once I have an action for user says, I can configure it, for user says, I can configure it in a couple of ways. So first, I can define user responses. So these are those that you saw, the yes or no, so the buttons. So that user is in kind of a closed range of options to choose from. However, I can say that, nah, I don't want to I don't want to limit user to only my predefined responses. I just want a free response, like I want this email. So for this purpose, there are variables. So I can create a new variable. It can be type of the text, age, number, or currency. and then what user types in will be saved to this variable here. Okay, so I'll just undo this not to break my flow. So these are the examples of user responses when user is when user is required to type in information, and then on the other hand there is a user response where user is like required to choose one from the predefined responses. Now once user selects yes, flow of the conversation goes to action, and action basically calls Microsoft Flow. What is here very important is that it will not call any flow you have created in your environment. No, it has to be a flow that you have created or added to one of your solutions. So keep in mind that Virtual Agent, although it is free today because it's in preview, it still requires you to have premium licenses for power-ups and flow, because you need to create an environment and you have to be able to create solutions, right? So at least P1 you have to have. Right now, I'll just jump to the solutions to show you how the flow is built, the flow that I'm using here in this example. So there is my Virtual Agent solution, and inside the Virtual Agent solution there are two flows. The first one is authorize user, the second one is get user tasks. First, what is done is this Virtual Agent authorize user flow. What it requires is email and nickname, and in return it just tells whether I am authenticated or not. Every flow you are going to build for Virtual Agent has to be triggered with HTTP request and has to have the response also. So again, there is a third feature that you really need to use, that is premium, right? Okay, so the request is just waiting for email and nick, right? Two string variables, nothing fancy. Now once the flow is being triggered with these two variables, it is then getting the requester's CDS ID. So based on the given internal email address, that is just, you know, for some demonstration purposes, that I can get some more information from CDS. I mean, it's not very, I don't have to really use it here, but I thought that maybe in CDS, in the entity users, I will be able to find some more unique information about the user, but not. Anyway, once it was triggered, it is then getting the email, the user profile for the given email, and then is checking if the provided nickname is the same nickname as the one that is saved along with my profile. Then if there is a match, then is the variable authenticated is set to yes, and otherwise it's set to no, and in the end flow is returning this authenticated variable back to the agent. So agent then checks the authenticated value, and then if authenticated is equal to yes, it means that I'm authenticated and I can move on. Well, if not, it will just display me the information that sorry, I can't authenticate you, and then it will redirect me to another conversation that is called the confirmed failure. So anyway, every time the bot is about to end, every time a specific branch of bot is about to end, I am able to do something more. So apart from bot says, user says, action and expression, I have some additional options. Every of those is some sort of go to a different conversation. So add with survey is basically an end of the bot conversation that will move user to another conversation that is a survey type. De-escalate is a conversation that I showed you that will somehow guide user to the contact with a physical person. Then go to is basically an action that allows me to really move a user to any of the predefined or defined conversations that are currently existing inside topics. In this case, that was the confirmed failure, right? Anyway, if the user is authenticated, if the authentication went fine, then the next step Flow is doing is simply calling my get user tasks Microsoft Flow, providing the email as a variable. Sorry, here, yeah, done. So that's the second flow that is called the VA get user tasks. Now what this flow is doing is very similar to the previous one, but not. Like first it is being triggered, yes, obviously by the HTTP request action, and is getting the email. Secondly, for the given email is getting the user CDS ID, because the tasks are not assigned by the user email or by the AAD unique identifier. They're assigned by the internal CDS ID. So every user in Common Data Services have their own IDs. Then once I obtain the user ID, I'm listing all the requests that are assigned to this particular user. So, well, basically in this case, to me. And in the end, I'm also listing the responses. Why? Because if I have the response, I can then check if the task has been approved or not. Now, next thing what I'm doing is I'm filtering the responses, leaving only their IDs. So I'm creating an array that is built that consists only from the responses IDs. And lastly, what I'm doing is I'm filtering a list of requests to leave only those that are not on the list of responses. So with this filter action, I'm leaving behind only these task requests, only these task assignments that have yet not been completed. And then if there are any tasks pending my approval, what I'm doing is for each task I'm getting the header information so that I will be able to tell the title, description, or when it was assigned. And basically I'm appending information about this task assignment to the string variable. Now what is important here is that the virtual agent really accepts the markup language from Microsoft. So you can see that I'm using those double stars here to have the bold. I'm using the expression to have a hyperlink, and most of it, the new line here is also treated as a new line inside the virtual agent message. Also, because it is starting from the counter and there is a dot, it is also being treated as a list. And in the end, bot is returning the list back to the virtual agent. What virtual agent is just taking, is checking if there are any tasks pending my approval. And in the end, is also asking me if there is anything else the bot can do for me. And then any kind of answer is just a different kind of end in the flow. So I'll just show you how the flow looks like inside. Right, so as said, first I'm getting this ID of the user, then the requests and responses. Next thing is the mapping, so I'm just leaving only the response IDs here, no other information from the returned array. And then I'm filtering a list of all the requests to leave only those that are not having the request ID inside of this list. And then finally, for each, like there are 5 items not inside the list, I'm just appending the information to the string variable that is being returned to the virtual agent. Alright, so the body is like kind of a constructor, it's kind of a build. Yeah, I just discard all the changes. So the next thing is testing. To test the pod, you can do it right in here. the very good approach is, after you save the bot, is then to reload it with the latest content, so with the latest flow in your conversation, and also to turn on this small tracking option here. What it will do, it will show you in real time, how your conversation is proceeding through the actions. I'll show you how it works. So again, hey bot, get my open tasks. You see now those actions that have already been completed are highlighted with green. Okay, now it's asking me for my nickname. I can see it will just jump on to the user response, and then bot says again, is this information correct? Yes. Yeah. Yep, it is correct. So I will jump to expression with yes. It has already authenticated me. I was rapid, very fast. And right now it was working on getting me the list of my flows. What it did? Oh, that one is working quite a long time. And in the end, it went to the branch with no, there are some tasks pending, and it's asking me right now if there is anything else it can do. So what I say is that no, thank you, you don't have to do anything else. So we'll jump into this. And because the ending of the conversation was end of conversation, therefore it jumped into a different conversation that is called end of conversation with the survey, right? So here I can answer the questions as a feedback for the virtual agent. If this communication with the agent was effective, it was efficient, if it was able to solve my problem. So I'll say yes, because it actually did solve my question. And then it went to another conversation. It's called the confirmed success, right? Where I can say what is my experience with of the communication? Anything else? No, thank you. And now this time it really redirects me to the goodbye, which is just another topic, right? Another conversation. So this way you can really create a lot of conversations that are being triggered one by another by those trigger phrases or by the go-to actions. Right here from right, I can again say, get my tasks. What will trigger? Again, my conversation for checking tasks. See? It is now updating topic and moving me, or it already moved me, to my help with tasks. Right? So that's like endless loop. You can talk with the agent as long as you don't decide to, for example, escalate or just terminate the conversation and leave. Now, the analytics area is basically this part that is really showing you how your bot is performing. So how many bots have been triggered last time, which bots are the most being triggered, what is the user experience from the conversation, right? So these are the information you can read from those analytics. There is not a lot of those because I'm not just an active user, I was just testing and playing around, so not all has been caught, but that is kind of information you can really read to get insights about the performance of your bot, where to maybe fix it, how to fix it, why it's not being effective in solving user issues, and so on and so on. Lastly, if you want to really deploy your bot, if you want to share the bot with the rest of the world, you have to go to deployment area. Now basically, today there are only two options. The first one is a demo website that looks like that. So you have to define like the title of your bot, this welcome message, you have to define the conversation status. I mean, here you can just share any information you want. It's just the free text that you can see here. These two boxes are for your own customization purposes. Right, so that's just a conversation starter. But as well, as you saw, you can go and deploy it to your custom website. And for this purpose, you're just giving the iframe code that you can copy paste to your WordPress. contact page, or your public-facing customer company website, or whatever else place where you have this power to embed your custom HTML. For example, this can also be the SharePoint page, right? So that's just my bot on the SharePoint page. Nothing very fancy. And well, basically that is all you can do with the Microsoft Virtual Agent Flow bot. Yep. So the question to you is, how do you like it? If you find it useful. If you have any questions regarding this new solution, regarding this tool, just don't hesitate to contact me. I can really help you because I was playing with it around for, well, a couple of hours ago already, sorry. So I can say it's really easy to customize, it's very easy to create your own, it's really easy to deploy it and then to work with it. And it's kind of a fun as well. Just keep in mind that to create your own virtual agent bot, first you have to have this environment in the United States, premium. You have to have P1 license to create a solution. And you have the P1 license to create a flow that is being triggered by the request and is able to return the response, right? So 3 things that require premium. So even though that the bot today is in preview and is for free, to use it, to play with it, you have to have the premium licenses. Now, to finish with, there are really a lot of features that Microsoft is now working on. They are, I mean, maybe not working on. This tool is being now intensively developed. So for example, you can't today use adaptive cards inside the code, but it is already reported to user voice, so possibly in the future it will be possible. You can't deploy it to any other place apart from the demo website and your custom website, but as you can see here, possibly before it goes live, before it goes public, it will also be possible to deploy it, for example, to Microsoft Teams. Well, fingers crossed for that. It is not also possible to change the title of the bot. So once you create a bot, like I had my 3 already, I can't change this my first bot to anything else. Also, you can't export your bot to import it in a different environment, or even you can't export a topic with a conversation to import it in a different environment or in a different bot. So today you really have to do a lot of manual work, and you have to really foresee a lot of exceptions and a lot of possible things that you have to configure in the beginning, because later you just can't do anything about them. So that are things you have to keep in mind. But well, that's just a preview, right? Anyway, once again, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you like it, and follow me on my Twitter, follow me on my blog posts. Thank you very much again.